to welcome back, She Talk watchers, subscribers, listeners, all of that. We are back. I am back. Welcome to She Talk Podcast, the podcast that has uncomfortable yet necessary conversations. I am your host, Raven, and today I am here with my sister and my cousin, and we're going to talk about teaching during the pandemic. So we starting on the E of the she today. So I know this is gonna be a great conversation, and we're about to hop into it right after this quick little rewind of our last episode. So not last week, but the week before. If you haven't watched it, go back and click on the episode with CJ Huff. Shout out to him and shout out to everybody else. Shout out to y'all for coming to sit down with me today. So just a little bit. I want y'all to tell everybody a little bit like your teaching background and like what you're doing now as far as teaching. So whichever one you want to go first, go right ahead.
I'll start. My name is Julia Davis, and I teach elementary. I've taught fifth grade. I moved down to fourth grade this year, but I will be back in fifth grade next year. I'm looping with my kids. Excited about that. I'm going into my fifth year. I am a graduate of the University of Memphis 2 times. And yeah, I love what I do.
Well, all righty. Well, I'm Erica Davis. I'll be going into my 7th year of teaching this year. Where can I start? I actually got my Associates of History from Southwest, got my Bachelor's of Arts in History from the University of Memphis, and I got my Master's of Arts in Teaching at Union University. Um, for the past 6 years, I've taught middle school, so 7th and 8th grade. And this year I will be transitioning to high school. Really excited about that, teaching 12th grade. Teaching 12th grade African American history, which is the subject I absolutely love. So I'm extremely excited about this upcoming year. So
Okay, see them Davis girls, we don't play around here. We educate.
So happy.
We educate.
Period.
So when it comes to the word teacher, what comes to mind? What's the first thing that comes to
Mm, that's a good question.
I can start. In my mind, when I hear the word teacher, like my version of teacher is quite different from the traditional version of teacher. I look at it as somebody who's being a mentor, someone who's like a parent figure to those kids who don't have parent figures. I'm real big on building relationships, so I'm real big on just engagement in the classroom and just doing whatever I can to make sure not only the students are learning the content that I teach, but they're also grasping like everyday skills that they need to survive in the world.
Okay.
Yeah, to just piggyback off of
We're losing connection.
Yeah, it's storming here, so.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's storming real bad.
Oh, hopefully Julie come back in. But well, why we fix that? Hopefully she comes right back on in there. To me, a teacher is a person who helps students acquire knowledge, competence, or virtue. So I feel like a teachers play an important role in our lives because they are the first like real stepping stones to the roadmap of life, if that makes sense. Because like even growing up and going through situations and things that I've been going through, I remember what a teacher has said or done or taught me to get through that certain situation. In my opinion, I feel like teachers have been taken for granted for years because they are just that significant part in our lives, and I just want to bring that to the forefront on teachers. So Y'all gave y'all history on teaching. I guess before I hope Julia get to come back in. Um, Strategies of teaching. What is your strategy of teaching?
Um, when I think about a strategy, I think about just making magic in the classroom. Like I just had this discussion yesterday with one of my friends. Um, like kids, of course, they come into your classroom and they're expecting to learn the content, but they're really not going to be engaged, right? And so, like my strategy, anybody who knows me outside of teaching knows that I am very animated. I'm a very hyperactive person, and I bring that same personality to my students. And my strategy is to make sure that they know that we have that connection and they're able to like grasp the information a lot better. They're a lot more engaged in the class because of the, just the hypeness that I bring to the class. Like, for instance, nobody goes to church or nobody just picks out a church just because it's a church. You pick out a church because you enjoy going there. Right. And so that's how I look at my classroom. I look at it as if you're not coming to my class just to learn history. Like history is a very boring subject, but it's the way that it comes across that makes the students want to be there, that makes the students want to learn, and then ultimately they give you their best scores when it's time to take the test. So,
okay, so your strategy of teaching been the same since the pandemic? You still bring that same energy?
Oh yeah. Since the pandemic, when we first started, we were online, of course, we were virtual, and the students like were laying in the bed and all types of things when we first started. Of course, they had to put down the ground rules and tell them, hey, you're gonna have to get up out that bed, put some clothes on, take that bun up off your head. This is my classroom, even though we was on a computer. Mm-hmm. But I mean, they knew that I meant business, and it was a lot of fun even teaching virtually. I felt like I was able to do a lot more things like with the computers and able to show them a lot more things online. And they were really engaged. Like I really enjoyed like teaching online and just like transitioning from just bringing that magic from the classroom and actually bringing that magic to the computer. So it was a lot of fun.
That's good. I'm glad it was like a easy transition because I know a lot of teachers, it's kind of hard,
right.
Having the more seasoned teachers that really don't know too much about technology and having to be forced into that from traditional ways. Right. You back. So just go back into what you think about when you hear the word teacher.
But yeah, so when I think about the word teacher, for me, honestly, like just kind of to piggyback off of what Erica was saying, like teachers wear a lot of different hats. We are responsible for a lot more than just the educational aspect. I think a lot of just their social and emotional health plays a role into our job. So just making sure that I'm supporting my students in the best way possible and just being an encourager, someone who supports them outside of the classroom. I like to, when my kids are having basketball games or birthday parties, I'm like, let me know where and I'll make a point to try to be there. So that's what I think about when I think of a teacher.
Okay, I like that because we just was hitting on that when you dipped out for a second. Now we're talking about strategies of teaching. What is your strategy of teaching?
Ooh. I really like hands-on learning. Just providing ways for them to, and with ELA, like, cause this is my third year doing ELA, and I think that it has been a learning curve because I started out with science and social studies. And so with science, you can make it fun, you can make it big and do all these experiments. But with ELA, it can be a little bit more difficult, especially when you have kids that are on different levels. And so just trying to engage them in more of the content and not, okay, we're going to be learning about main idea and key details today. Mm-hmm. Teaching them about things that are happening in the world, engaging them in what's going on around them, and trying to pull that in. I like group activities, which with the pandemic and virtual teaching, it was very difficult to be able to pull that aspect into teaching. But yeah, I like just engaging them in the content and using group activities and making them more um, in control of their learning, and me kind of facilitating. That's my thing. More being more of a facilitator and not I'm teaching you all the time.
Hmm. Okay, I like that. And when you came back on, Erica was talking about the, participation and attendance and things like that. So I want to kind of shift over into like distractions, like right when everything started, the virtual learning and everything. Like, how were distractions? Like, how did you deal with it? What some of the things that you saw? Like, I know you said people was laying in the bed. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah.
Oh wow! Like for me, I feel like I didn't prepare myself enough mental. I was thinking it's not gonna be that bad. We just gonna get on. We're gonna, learn. It's gonna be like normal. And so I don't think that I had mentally prepared myself for what the distractions were going to look like. Um, and so I just it was frustrating because you have those kids who you can talk to and say, hey, like I need for you to sit up, or you have the parents that are really hands on and you can text them and be like, hey, so and so's not sitting up in their seat and they get it together. But you also have those ones that are they just gonna do what they want to do, and my mama don't care, and so I'm gonna do what I want. And so just trying to find ways to engage them, finding different incentives that I could use to motivate them, and just trying to be as understanding as possible, like because it is hard.
right.
And I mean, I know that for a lot of them it was a struggle because you had some that they be in a room with 3 or 4 of their other siblings, and so now not only am I distracted, but my sister got her camera on over here and I can hear her teacher. And so just trying to find different ways to just make them want to come to class. And just, I found doing brain breaks and things like that to be very helpful. Um, Games, like in the like I would just stop a lesson and say, okay, we're gonna play a game. And it helped. So
Okay, Erica, what kind of ways did you use to eliminate distractions? Now, your mic off.
Let me tell you, when we first started, I think parents really took advantage of the fact that their older child was at home.
Mhm.
So by me teaching 8th grade, I had a lot of students who were like basically babysitting their younger siblings. So it was like they were the parent. They didn't really have time to be a kid and learn what they needed to learn because their parents were at work.
Mhm.
And it was a hot mess. Like I could hear parents cursing in the background. Like um at some point, I don't even remember. And one day I got an email literally saying like my child's not going to be able to come in because I don't have a babysitter for my son, and so I'm taking them to my job or something like that, and it wasn't no internet, and I just really felt bad, so I had to donate a hotspot to the baby because that was the only way that they were able to get on every day. Yeah, it was really, really bad. I don't think it really got good until after that first report card came out and the kids were like, whoa, we got to really take this seriously. And after that, like I started to see a lot of improvement in my students' grades and things like that. But it was really hard, and I can't necessarily blame it on the kids.
Mhm.
I really, really have to blame that on the parents from a lot of things that I saw. Yeah.
Okay. So going into the whole, well, I'm not gonna say like, because it wasn't a, I'm sure it wasn't an easy transition. It was like forcing y'all basically into this whole virtual world. Um, what were your initial thoughts when being forced into this from going traditional to virtual?
ooh, I was because it's almost like it happened so sudden.
Mm-hmm.
Like we were literally going out on spring break and they told us, okay, y'all get an additional week of spring break. So we're like, okay, just 1 week, like can't be that bad. We'll be back. And then every week it would be, and finally they were just like, y'all aren't coming back. And so the school that I was at, they tried to kind of get us to finish the year virtually. So we had some, I had some exposure to the platform that we were using, but it did not necessarily prepare me for what was ahead. And so I was very anxious. I was very nervous. Like I still remember like that first day and all my kids are logging in and I'm just like, I don't know what to do. Like I can teach you, but it's everything that you know how to do, you're having to relearn it.
Right.
And so it was very frustrating at times, because you're just navigating a new platform. You're having to teach them and teach yourself. So, like, I'm having to teach students how to open a Word document. Like, I had kids that didn't know how to do that. And I'm like, I like it was very overwhelming, but I just had to find a bright spot in every day. I had to really I had to tell my kids, like, listen, I don't know everything, but we're going to learn together and we're going to make it through. And every day when problems would arise, we would work together to come up with a solution. So if one kid is struggling with, I can't turn in this assignment, another child will unmute himself or herself and say, well, maybe you should try doing this. And so just really working together is is what saved me and helped me feel better about teaching virtually.
Yeah.
Erica, what were your initial thoughts?
Well, let me tell you, I had already been off work because earlier last year my mom died, and I took some time off work. So I came back at the beginning of March, and I think I was back for 2 weeks. And when you lose a parent and you're going through that, it's like, I'm not feeling this. So I was happy because I was able to really take my time and stay at home and really like grieve through that process. So once they decided that we were not going back to school, my school decided, well, hey, we have to have some type of online learning, which we couldn't really like hold the kids accountable if they didn't turn in work because we weren't prepared at that time. So it was just basically email out packets. So parents would come up, pick up packets from the school, and we just winged it from, throughout the rest of the year. So it was chill mode. But coming back, the first day, it was different. Because I think the kids thought that that's how the school year was going to be, like how it ended. And they weren't expecting us to have like this full out curriculum and for us to actually be teaching online. We're being observed by administrators and things like that. And like, it was a struggle for me too, because not only am I a teacher, I had 3 kids here who were also doing virtual learning. And the first grader, I really struggled with trying to teach and then trying to help him because he had to learn how to navigate through the whole thing as well. And it was different, but I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the experience. I ain't gonna lie. If I could be a virtual teacher forever, I would. But
that makes
yeah, I mean, I adjusted pretty well. So I really had a lot of fun doing it. I definitely think it should be an option this upcoming year, simply because there's this new variant going around and a lot of people are not getting vaccinated, so to speak. And, like kids are not really allowed to get the vaccinations yet. So I'm a little concerned about my health as well as the kids' health going back into this new school year in person. So we'll see how that works.
Okay. So in y'all's opinion, do y'all feel like your students have benefited anyway from learning virtually?
Honestly, no. I saw some of my higher level students really like drop down because I felt like it was the way that we had to teach, it was a little bit too low level for them. And I didn't really see an improvement in their scores. So when I think of it like that, I don't think that they were able to benefit from it. I think that they should have had their own like curriculum and their own set of teachers to help them. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to say no. Like, I think it's better than nothing, but just the social emotional aspect of it. Like, this was my first year at the school that I'm at now, but I was fortunate enough to have a teacher who looped up with them to fourth grade. And so she was really knowledgeable in each child. And so over time, it's like you just saw their morale go down. You saw that they're not as motivated. And it's almost like you're pleading with them to just come to class.
Right.
And I became more lenient on turning your camera on. I'm just like, look, just come to school. Like, I'm not even gonna make you turn your camera on, because I had children who just did not feel comfortable with being and sitting on a camera.
Right.
And so I'm like, I had to learn to pick and choose my battles. And so just with that aspect, I don't think it was beneficial. As far as scores and stuff like that, I mean, it was hard for them just turning in work some days. And so I just think they weren't motivated to really want to do well after a while. It was just like, let's just get through it. And as far as like the scores, it was just always something. So no, and I don't want to do it again. Please don't do it.
I'll piggyback off of what she just said. Like as far as the turning your camera on aspect, that was a huge thing that my administrators wanted us to make sure all the kids' cameras were on. But again, we're talking about teachers who supposedly care. A lot of kids did not want to turn their cameras on because you could see the background in their homes.
Right.
And their home environment was probably embarrassing. And so like, when I realized that that was an issue, I kind of got a little lenient on it as well, because it's like, you know, hey, I'm already living in this bad situation, and now my friends really got to see, you know, I got a roach climb, you know, crawling on the wall or something like that. You know, kids didn't, you know, they were already embarrassed, and I just really, really felt bad about that. But from an admin standpoint, I don't really say, I want to say that we didn't really get the support that we needed because they've never taught virtually. So it's easy for somebody to come in and say, hey, make those kids turn their cameras on. But when you're actually in that situation teaching those kids, it's a very hard thing to do when their home lives are not, you know, the best. So,
yeah. Definitely.
Because I remember even like being in school and stuff, like even just going to school, people just get checked or talked about just for, you know, going to school. So just imagine having to be at home and somebody actually having to see like what your background is or hear what your background is. So that can definitely be challenging as a teacher. I mean, even as a student. So I wish I could do a podcast with students. That would be cool. But you know, maybe we'll never know.
You got a family. Like, we got some kids in our family. So.
Girl, you don't want to pay.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, ain't no telling what he'll say. But talking about challenges, what do you feel like was your biggest challenge teaching virtually during the pandemic?
Ooh. For me, my biggest challenge was just navigating technology. As a millennial, you know, we pride ourselves in being knowledgeable. Oh, I know how to operate a phone. I don't need the instructions, but you're learning a whole new platform. Like, I had never been, I was just never really, just certain things, certain websites we started, they wanted us to start using. And I'm like, I don't know how to use this stuff. I don't. So basically feeling like I'm having to learn as I go. Another challenge for me was I can tell a child what they should be seeing on their screen, but that does not necessarily mean that they're seeing it.
Right.
I didn't know what their screen would look like half the time. So it would be hard for me to help them figure out the issue, and just trying to figure out different ways to alleviate some of the connection issues. There will be times where I have to tell them, well, there's nothing that I can do to solve that. And that would really hurt my feelings, because you're literally having to tell a child there's nothing I can do, and you just got to suffer through it. And so I don't think any teacher wants to feel like you're just having to give up. But there were times when I felt like that was my only option, or just getting someone else involved. So yeah, just learning technology, learning our platform, which I was not too fond of. After a while, I was just like, this is too much. But you just learn to make the most of it. And I think I've definitely learned a lot this year that I can use moving forward. So that is helpful.
Good.
Yeah. I think the biggest challenge for me was all these doggone reports we had to turn in. First of all, I'm very lazy. Okay. I try to find the easiest way to get things done the correct way. But again, when admin comes at you with, hey, I need this in by this time, it's like it was just too much. It was too much. And it was like, okay, I'm starting to get burned out, not because I'm teaching, but because of the backhand work that I have to do. And I'm like, are y'all even reading these reports? Because all this stuff that we turn in, I know where in the world y'all reading all this stuff. So that was the biggest challenge for me. That was the stuff I got in trouble the most for, because I wasn't meeting my deliverable dates. Hey, it is what it is. That's why I want to work for myself. So I'm just really, really just thinking about, like, when I reflect back on the year, that was the biggest challenge that I had. And it actually has me reflecting back on if teaching is something that I still want to continue to do. Just thinking about all that backhand stuff. Yeah. That's all.
And just with that, it's like, okay, I have 3 classes, which when you're teaching middle school or high school, you have more than that. So you're teaching up to 100 some kids a day. And so I'm expected to use my time outside of the classroom to work on this stuff. What makes you think I want to go home and do more work when I'm just mentally exhausted? Like,
Right.
it becomes a lot, and it's just like, no.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So make it positive. What's your favorite thing about teaching?
In general,
Yeah. What's your favorite? Just your favorite thing.
I would just say the experiences, getting to, like, when my kids started to get to come back into the building, which of course we didn't have a whole lot, but just really seeing their personalities, really getting to do fun stuff with them. We had a field day, but we had to have it indoors. And so just seeing their personalities, how they're interacting with each other, and getting to build those relationships with them. I love field trips, because for them, it's a good way to just get them out of the building and expose them to something that a lot of them may have not been exposed to before. And so just those different experiences that come along with teaching, the fun parts that really just keep me going, and getting to build relationships with them, with their parents, and keep up, and just seeing where they're at now. Like, my first group of students is going to high school this year, and I'm just like, seeing them now compared to what they were when they were in my 5th grade class, it's just like, it's crazy, but it's so rewarding because I feel like I've done a good job.
Okay. I think my favorite thing about just teaching, period, is just being able to be myself with the kids. Like, not having those kids to judge me because, hey, I know I'm a little older than y'all, but I can still get down with y'all. I can still act crazy with y'all, and you're learning. So that's my favorite thing, just bringing my personality into my classroom more than anything. And I think from there, like Julia said, the relationships are beginning to build. I have a bond with their parents and things like that. So when it comes to behavioral issues, I have very great classroom management. I do not tolerate anybody acting a fool. Like if we ain't acting a fool together, we ain't acting a fool, period. And like my kids, they are trained to turn it on and off. Like they know if the door open and the admin comes in, they're gonna sit up and be straight and act, and then when they leave out, we're gonna start back acting a fool again. But they're learning. And that's what the most important thing is. And I love it, just the fact that I get to bring my personality into it. Yeah.
Yeah, because you got a good one. You got a good person. Yeah, I know my sister. Davis. So before we close out, what are some things that y'all do to participate in self-care? Do you get to?
Ooh. I tried to be a lot better about that this year because I needed it. I go to therapy, and I'm a strong advocate for mental health and going to therapy. And I feel like just those moments where I could go and sit on video call because we couldn't do in person. But just those moments to really just tell her exactly how I was feeling, no matter how good, bad, ugly it was, and just have someone listen and to get that out, it was very helpful. I've also started to take time to get back in the gym because I found that to be a really good stress reliever for me. And it got to the point where there would be days where I was leaving work frustrated and I was like, I need to go and lift a weight because that's all I can do right now to make me feel better. So, and just journaling, getting the feelings out of me and onto paper has been very helpful.
Okay, I like that. Erica, what do you do?
Well, okay, to be honest, when the school year was going on, once I got done teaching, I would do things like I had gotten at one point very heavy on drinking and other extracurricular activities. And ultimately, I noticed that that wasn't the self-care I needed. So I started going back to church and really just getting into the word and just applying what I was learning in the Bible to my life. And now I just find like just peace in just talking to God, just having a conversation with God. And he shows me every day that, I know it seems hard. I know times get hard, but I can't put more on you than you can bear. And so that's the biggest thing for me, just having prayer, just having faith, and just stopping, all of these things that we think it's going to help take us away from the issues and when they're really going to come back 45 minutes later. So just having that faith in God has really helped me during this whole process.
Like that. Now, usually, I started this thing where I do a Black business shout out at the end of all my episodes. So this week I was a little ill prepared. However, Erica, since you are a Black business owner, I would love for you to kind of like shout yourself out and put your business out there so I can go and put it in the details and get you some customers.
Okay, well, thank you for putting me on the spot. I was in my teacher mode. I wasn't in the Jazz Nicole mode. But since we're going there, give me one moment. At Jazz Nicole, we know you want their perfect body. In order to do that, you've got to work out. The lack of commitment to a gym or a personal trainer doesn't quite fit in with your busy lifestyle. Trust me, we've been in your shoes. Working hard to the bone on our jobs, being a mom, and even church, but neglecting our bodies. We've got a solution. We believe there needs to be an easier way to have the body you want without having to commit your life to it. So take back control of your life and check out our unique booty bands from jazznicole.com.
Right, yes. I need to get one anyway.
Are those the ones you put on your legs?
Yeah.
I will be buying one of those because I have been. Oh yes, I will be buying one.
Yeah.
But yes, I definitely be putting all of this. Send me some links and stuff so I can put it in the description of the YouTube video. But I want to thank y'all for sitting down with me and talking about y'all challenges and frustrations and overcoming teaching during this pandemic, because a lot of people don't know what teachers go through for real. Like they just think y'all supposed to do y'all job and they be there. So I'm glad that I was able to allow y'all to talk about that on this platform. I know we're probably gonna do something else because I really want to go into the whole critical race theory thing, but there's a whole other episode. So I'm really hoping to get a bunch of teachers on that one. I know that'll be real good. So thank y'all so much for coming on.
And thank you for giving us a voice to voice our experience, because there were times where I felt like nobody is listening, nobody cares about what it's like. And so just to get this platform to put it out there has felt amazing, and I appreciate it. And I got to do it with my family, so
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, family.
Hey.
So I thank y'all so much. And once I get everything edited and everything, I send it to y'all. And everybody that's watching, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. So I hope y'all can do the same thing when I see y'all share it and watch it and comment y'all experience. So I love y'all. Thank y'all. And have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.